Okay, so welcome to part 2 of this 2-part video series where we're looking at exceptional examples of software UI UX design. In the last video, we looked at 5 pretty amazing examples, and I'm excited to share with you again 5 products that really stand out. If you're a SaaS founder or working in SaaS, you're going to get some pretty good examples and inspiration of how to improve your product so you can get more users and grow. Let's jump right in. So first up in part 2 is the highly flexible application Airtable. If you're not familiar with Airtable, you can think of it as beautifully designed spreadsheets combined with the power of databases. You can use Airtable to create business solutions or even to create applications. So taking a look at Airtable's UI, you have a really nice area for managing projects. Airtable breaks this up into workspaces, and then projects are referred to as bases. And this is a really easy screen to manage your projects and to access them. You can see on the left-hand side, you have menus for managing your workspaces. There's a really neat learning and resources center. So the use of color is fun and playful. And then even the interactions are pretty cool here. So if you adjust the order of your workspaces, you'll see that it updates on your desktop there, so they relate. I always like the options between viewing in grids or lists, so you can view bases that way. And then a really cool feature here is when you add a base and you get to set that up, choose all your parameters. So that's a really neat piece of UI. I'm just going to jump back here. And other things to point out is little notification here encouraging you to invite friends and co-workers to earn credits in your accounts. That's a really nice referral scheme that they promote. And then also just a call to action to upgrade, just highlighting some of the benefits again, and the upgrade option, which I think is really cool. They don't take you out of the flow. They keep you here, highlight the benefits of each plan, and then enable you to just upgrade pretty easily and quickly right here whilst you're still on your workspace screen. So let's take a look at the main area of UI within Airtable. Bases. Bases are essentially your main spreadsheet workflow area. So the screen design for bases in Airtable is a masterclass in UI design. The first thing that is really apparent here is the use of space. The screen is full width. These spreadsheets can get very complex. So the user here, it gets the ability to use as much as of the real estate as they can and see a great deal of data in one view. Now, in order to provide access to functionality and additional features here, Airtable have a really clever grid going on in the background. So you have flyout windows that give you some more options, and the design for these things are really awesome because whilst you're hovering over, you get little descriptions that pop up for each with animated GIFs in there, animated elements. It's just really nice, just the way that they break up the space and then use overlays and tooltips and hovers to provide more additional information. They only give you the information when you need it, and that's one of the key things in saving screen space. If we go over to the right-hand side here, you'll see that the grid cleverly breaks down into thirds. So you've got 2/3 and then 1/3 here, where you can now interact with other elements that might impact your project. So you can create automations, and you can also integrate apps, operate with your base here. Now, check this out. How cool is this? It goes from thirds down into fourths once you click on something like help and you get an additional column. I just think this is awesome because the grid is so fluid and the workspace changes based on what the user needs. If you go full width, you now get to use some more of that space, so you can just focus on whatever you're doing, and then you can go back to your other views and close that, and you're back to full width. That is a really fantastic piece of design. And then to provide even more options for workspace, you've got tabs where you can, create additional tabs to work on other elements that relate to your project or your base here. Now, looking at the UI itself, the colors are beautiful. The use of space is clever. The font sizes are small, and it means that they've enabled a great deal of complexity, a lot of data that the viewer can handle at any time, but it never gets overly complex. Like you can always see what you're working with here, and that's very rare in table design of this complexity. Every single element has really clever interactions, and they're very, very custom. It's like every element has the perfect design to interact with that element. They've clearly been really well thought out. There's just a really extensive UI kit of components behind this, and that really becomes apparent when you start interacting with some of the fields and some of the queries that you've got here, because you have every time you interact with a different field type, you have a UI that relates and is perfect for editing those parameters. So from date pickers to working with chips or tags, selecting things to add. This is really nice for adding people or users. A really nice UI for that, and you just get all the information you need once you interact with something. I just think the detail and the complexity that has gone on here is really fantastic. It's really outstanding, to be honest. It's a pleasure to explore the UI, and it's quite inspiring. If you're working with tables or complex data, then I think this is as good an example you're going to see of UI design for this type of product. Okay, so next up we have Notion. Notion is an application that blends all your everyday work apps into one. It provides a workspace which has components such as calendars, notes, wikis, Kanban boards, reminders, and you can even create your own. It really enables you to organize and manage your workflows as you wish. Let's jump in and take a look at the UI. So Notion has a very clinical UI. It's very clean, it's black and white, it's minimalistic. There's little use of color except for perhaps the icons, which have a kind of realistic illustrative style, and then elements like emojis or checkboxes. Other than that, it's very, very functional and minimalistic. So the design means that it enables the user to focus on their tasks and their work, whatever they're doing. And also, because it's a very customizable and a flexible software, it means that there's not too much distraction going on around the elements that the user might work with. Now, one of the things that stands out is the way that the workspace is interactive. So you're always within your workspace, and anything you do there is interacting directly with your documents. So even the getting started, the onboarding workflow is a document that you can just edit. It's live. So you have welcome to Notion, and then here are the basics. You can start, you can click and type anywhere you want within the page, and then you're working through this checklist like that. There are really cool interactions within Notion. So one of the things I love about this is hidden UI. So you get options in areas that you might not have been aware of until you hover over them, and then you get the ability to add icons or to add covers and comments. It's the same with different elements here. Once you hover over something, you get the option to add or create something, or drag and menu items, things like that. And then this is a great example of a shortcut key which gives you tons of functionality. Hitting the forward stroke, you get the ability to add blocks, and you see how much there is that you can actually do. There's text, pages, to-do lists, heading types, and again you get a similar descriptor here. So this is essentially a kind of drop-down overlay with a descriptor in a similar way to Airtable. So this is a piece of UI that is becoming fairly common, and it's very modern. It's just really awesome. It's not actually relating to clicking on an element, and as you go through, you just see how much you can add and how much you can do, and it starts to illustrate the power of the documents that you have here in Notion. So that's one of the key things to highlight on this user interface, is there's so much more than meets the eye on first observation. Then you've got a menu on the left hand side, and I really like how simple this is. It's logical, easy to use, and you've got expandable areas here for notes, and you literally start creating your document directly from there. So just a really cool, clean and clear UI with tons more functionality, hidden behind interactions that only appear as and when you need them. Another killer feature within Notion is the ability to create different document types using templates. There's a vast range of options here. Let's jump in and have a look. Another neat piece of design here is how the user can select templates from the menu. You get a pretty large overlay that fills most of the screen, and it enables you to just see a wide range of templated screens that are available to the user here, from roadmaps to user research, design tasks, and then as you go down, you can see really like how extensive this is, and this is quite common now in software to provide templated documents and functionality to really enrich a product, because when you have a software of this level of complexity, anything is possible. Sometimes the user just needs that starting point, that reference for something that they might be doing, and providing templates for those use cases is a perfect way to get them using the most out of the software. Moving on, now we're going to take a look at Segment. Segment is a software for managing customer data. It basically operates by connecting the source of the data with a destination. So let's take a look at how Segment designs their user interface. The impression I get from Segment's UI is that it's just really slick. Things are really well thought through and presented in a pretty slick manner. What's different about this is that in most of the software that we've reviewed in this video, you have a very light workspace. Everything's white. So whilst you do have that in Segment, you've got a contrasting dark menu on the left-hand side. So they've just chosen this approach to differentiate between data that you're working on and your menu navigation. I think that's probably pretty intentional. One of the things that stands out is the flows, the nature of flows that they design within Segment, because it's a complex system for integrating software or applications and connecting data streams. It's quite important that workflows are designed to guide the user through that process. This can be a little bit of a difficult thing to do. So it's nice how Segment have designed this to just add sources. You select from options that you might have, and it's a journey. You have next and guidelines talking you through how to do it. And I'll just give an example of connecting a data source here. You can create your source, and then you get an update notification. So you're guided through a process that's quite tricky, but the UI is very supportive and instructional, and it guides you through that process so that you've got now a data source, and then you go through to add it to a destination. Once you connect something, the celebration is really nice, and the UI, it just kind of supports and motivates the user throughout these little journeys. Another example of a great journey is the upgrade process. So when you go into pricing, a lot of software might show you a pricing screen, but when you click upgrade here, you're taken into a flow. So you see all other options are removed, the menu's taken away, and you almost get a checkout cart kind of experience. Choose an option, step 2, review and pay, and 3 is the confirmation. So they're really like taking users through a flow to achieve the task, to get it done. If you cancel and you exit the setup flow, then you're landed on usage and billing. You're taken straight here so that you can keep reviewing at your own leisure without being in a flow. So really clever designs. And if you want to focus on integrations and flows through your app, helping users through journeys and giving the best experience for that, then Segment provides some really good examples of how to do that. Next up, we're going to take a look at Pipedrive, which takes the Kanban board style approach and applies that to managing a sales pipeline. They have a great UI. Let's take a look. The UI has a really unique style within Pipedrive. When I first started using this, I felt it had almost a metallic kind of feel to it with the types of greys and the dark colors. There was almost a reflective chrome sheen on the UI. I thought that was really cool, and it definitely makes it a unique experience using the product. With Kanbans being one of the defining elements within the software, I think the way that they designed it was just really cool. So obviously you've got this kind of process, and the arrows just demonstrate the workflow through the Kanban board. It's really neat how the UI appears when you need it. And that's just a really nice feature within Pipedrive. So you get a lot of data and information you can start adding to your deals, but you only see that once you interact. The deals themselves, they interact really nicely across the screen. The animation effect is really neat, and the transitions are very smooth. The way the screen changes when you click and drag is really cool. And I also love the way that you can come down to the bottom of the screen here and define one of your deals as lost, won, move or convert them. It's really, really clever interaction design. The thing that Pipedrive have done with the menu on the left-hand side is that they've minimized it to be as small as it can possibly be in order to enable as much space for the Kanban as possible. For this reason, they've kept their menu pretty simple and logical, easy to use too. So you just have icons and you get the tooltips when you hover over them. In a lot of SaaS, when you see menus like this, you get the option to expand and minimize it, but Pipedrive don't bother with that because it's easy and intuitive enough to use without doing that. When you want to look at more, you've got the options to have this kind of fly out window with sub-menu items. So it's a really neat way to keep the menu simple and then provide more options as and when they're needed. Pipedrive's individual deal screen is a great example of good use of space. They present all the information you need to see in a deal while also making it easy to edit and update. The individual deal screen in Pipedrive is also really great. The design is really neat in terms of how they managed to split up the screen and contain a lot of information in just one view. So you have the progress along the pipeline, you have the status and information relating to the deal. What I really like here are the tabs. So you've got fixed information on the screen. On the left-hand side, this column is important fixed information, which you might need to reference. So you kind of want it there, easy to view at any time. But then you've got these tabs where you can interact in order to add details and information or tasks that you're working on. So the user has everything they need at their fingertips, and they don't have to go through different screens to access them. The tooltips are really cool. They stand out because of the nice blue color. So whilst you do have this gray and white chrome kind of feel background, almost metallic, like I said earlier, the green, red, and blue just helps to really make certain elements jump out, and that's a really neat piece of design as well. Last but not least, we're going to take a look at Reply, which is a sales enablement tool. Reply just has a really refreshingly simple and clean interface. There's absolutely no fuss, and it's easy to use. So Reply has one of the most simple interfaces. It's just really easy to use and navigate. There's a big menu along the top. You've just got a clear white workspace with mostly grey text. You'll see it's kind of no frills, this UI, and that's what I love about it. There's hardly anything added that doesn't need to be there, and it's stripped down to the bare essential ingredients. It doesn't even really need to have very clever interactions like some of the other software that we've reviewed in this video. There's clever, detailed interactions. With Reply, it's almost gone back to basics. However, you do see some of the neat modern tricks, like having a create button that's contextual and it follows you wherever you are in the app. Thinking about the menu, first of all, you've got the tabs along the top screen. There are not many drop downs, and the menu is pretty easy to navigate and use. If anything, it's getting a little bit large, but I think what Reply will end up doing is making more use of the more drop down, and then also maybe grouping things as their software develops and grows. But just going through this, you can see quite quickly that you get very easy to navigate drop down, like sub menu items, and you can see how simple the screens and designs really are. I mean, what's great about this is that for bootstrapped companies or startups in SaaS that don't have a massive amount of funding, you could work with a skilled designer and create something simple and easy to use, and that's almost better than going over the top. And that's one of the things I like about Reply. So even let's just take a look at some of the functionality here. When you go into something like a sequence, again, the UI is really great. It's big and easy to use, and you have a sequence here that's laid out, and it couldn't be easier to understand what's going on in this workflow sequence. And then when you want to add a step, you just add directly at the end of this whatever you want that step to be. So it's pretty typical that you get workflow automations that look really complex. Maybe they do have more functionality, such as forking and having some more logic in them. But I just like the way that this one's simple and easy to use. Anything you click into is just super simple and easy. And you can see that how I've built this automation that we use at UserActive. So that's one highlight I would say about Reply. It's just simple, easy, and no fuss. And I really appreciate the product experience with that in mind. So there we go. That was my selection of 10 beautifully designed SaaS products. What did you think about these user interfaces? Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Did I miss any, or are there any other products you'd like me to review in a future video? If you enjoyed this, thank you for watching. Please give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. If you're interested in beautiful UI UX design for your software, then please reach out to us at useractive.io. You can also book a call directly with me using the link in the description for this video. We'll spend 15 minutes where I can give you advice, a steer on your project, and we can also see if we're a good fit to help you improve your product, get more users, and grow.